Welcome to the Oral History Podcast, featuring stories from the oral history website voicesofoklahoma.com, where Oklahomans have given generously of their time to tell their life stories for present-day listeners and for generations to come. Our entire collection is available on the website voicesofoklahoma.com. Subscribe to be notified of new Oklahoma oral history podcasts. Here's another interesting storyteller from voicesofoklahoma.com. Ray Bingham was an agent, producer, and manager for some of country music's biggest stars. Music has made Ray's world go round since he was 9 and started listening to Western swing bands at local ballrooms. Music was popular entertainment in Claremore, where Patti Page, Tommy Allsup, and Stonehorse started out. Ray's life story is the history of country music from Oklahoma roots to far beyond. Bingham has been the man behind the scenes promoting and booking top talent for more than 4 decades, including Garth Brooks' first gig and his mother Colleen Carroll for years before him, the Tulsa Playboys, Peggy Raines, Vince Gill, Reba McEntire, Willie Nelson, Alan Jackson, and Tim McGraw. A deep love of music and friendship with 2 men, Billy Parker and Red Steagall, eventually led him to start Ray Bingham Productions. Ray will tell you stories about Reba McEntire, Garth Brooks, Ray Stevens, Patsy Cline, and more on the Oral History website and podcast, voicesofoklahoma.com.
My name is John Erling, and today's date is February 18th, 2021. Ray, would you state your full name, please?
My name is Raymond L. Bingham.
And your date of birth?
5/21/38.
May 21st, 1938, and your present age is?
82 years old. And I mean old.
You're not old. I'm recording this here in our office of Voices of Oklahoma in Tulsa. And where are you?
I'm in Claremore, Oklahoma, in my office, which is on my little tiny farm I have here in Claremore.
And COVID and snow has been keeping us home, right?
I've been home so long, I'm fixing to take his ankle bracelet off and go somewhere.
And we didn't commit a crime. We were under house arrest.
That's right. We're doing our time. So now we ought to have one coming. We ought to be able to go out and do a little crime.
Right. And COVID, what did it do to your lifestyle? Did it keep you home completely? Did you go to the grocery store, or what did you do?
Well, I did stock up pretty good. And I've got some friends who last 2 days came and picked me up and took me shopping and whatever I needed to do. That's because of the snowstorm we're living under right now.
Right.
The COVID, that didn't change my lifestyle except my livelihood. It closed down all my commercial jobs. But as far as staying home and all, I did not stay home.
Well, now we're into the vaccination period, and everybody's talking about that. Have you had your vaccination yet?
Oh, it's been canceled twice, but it's scheduled again next Monday. So maybe this time I'll get it.
Well, I hope so.
Yeah.
Where were you born?
Emmett, California. Baker Street Labor Camp.
In a labor camp?
Baker Street Labor Camp in a canvas-covered cottage. You know, they have those little tents. That's where my parents were living, picking grapes and whatever they did in California to survive.
Wow. I want to come back to that. Tell us your mother's name.
Beatrice May Stonebarger.
Where did she grow up?
Gore, Oklahoma.
What was her personality like?
Well, she's very uneducated and just a hard worker. Had 10 pregnancies, raised 6 of us to adulthood. Didn't know anything but work.
Yeah.
She died when I was 9 years old.
Wow.
My father, Walter Kit Bingham, is from Braggs, Oklahoma, close to Gore there. He was born in 1901 in Indian Territory, of course.
What did he do for a living?
He did all kinds of things. He was a good fiddle player, and he played a lot of dances around the country, but he was an expert moonshine maker. It was where we lived, had to have a good little creek on it so he'd get water, and he made a lot of moonshine and was arrested for it a few times, but that's what he did. But then he did a little painting and he did barber work. He was uneducated also. They came here to Claremore when they put the water line in from Spavinaw to Tulsa. I think it was a WPA project. Made $1 a day. Pretty good. And then when that project finished, they migrated to California following the harvest and so forth. And that's when I had another brother 2 years older than me, and I was born there. When I was 4 months old, they came back to Oklahoma.
Okay.
But they had the original Grapes of Wrath trip to California, and they were from that same part of the world down there that in the book, in the movie.
Tell us about this camp again that you were born in and what they were doing there.
Well, have you seen the movie Grapes of Wrath?
Yes.
All right. Those places where all the migrant farm workers lived. On my 50th anniversary of being born, I went back there to see it. Of course, it wasn't in existence anymore at grocery store and parking lot where that was, but that was just where they were living when I came along.
And then overall, you had 10 brothers and sisters?
She gave birth to 10 children, yes.
They didn't all survive?
Right. 6 of us reached adulthood, but not so much with her health. Like I say, I was 9 years old when she passed away.
Then, as you said, they came back to Oklahoma when you were 4 months old, and then they settled there in Claremore.
Yes, and moved quite often. They never owned a place. They moved from one place to the other. They go to school either at Chambers, Lone Elm, or Verdigris. My dad stayed in that area because there's quite a few little branches of water that he could set up and make his whiskey. It's where I live now.
There are people listening to this don't understand what moonshine is. Describe that.
The same thing as whiskey that comes from the Jack Daniels distillery. Only it's made out in somebody's barn or out in the woods. It's very illegal because there's no taxes paid on it. And Oklahoma, being a dry state, even made it more illegal.
You said he was arrested?
Oh, yes, he got arrested 3 or 4 times for it. They bust up his steel. So he'd have to go do a real job somewhere like painting or playing a barber or something till he could get his steel put back together.
Do you remember people coming to the farm to buy the moonshine?
Yeah, we did at night because if they saw the smoke coming from the fire, they would know that somebody's in the woods doing something and they'd come and find. So you did it at night so they didn't see the smoke. And would bottle it up and take it wherever he would be hiding it out, maybe a barn or something.
So then you needed the fire for what?
The cooker, they call it. And I could not make whiskey right now. My older brothers could. I was so young when this was going on. I remember seeing it. I know what it looked like, the boiler and the coil and the singlings that comes out, but I couldn't make it. I wouldn't have the knowledge to make it. But my older brothers, they sure could.
Let's get you into school. Elementary, junior high school, was that there in Claremore?
Went to Chambers School. It's about a mile from where I'm at now. It's 3 miles south of Claremore. 8 grades in one room. Mrs. Lawrence is a wonderful teacher. Now, as we would move, we'd go to Verdigris School for a while, which is a little more modern. I had running water and everything. Or Lone Elm or Justice. But I always come back. See, I always came back to this area, and we loved Chambers School. I don't know if you're aware, John, but the schools in Oklahoma, I did a story one time, and Carol Lester ran it in the Claremore paper about education in Oklahoma and these one-room schoolhouses. I found that idea very interesting, so I did some research. And when they built these schools in Oklahoma, they're no farther than 6 miles apart. The reason being that no kid had to walk over 3 miles to school. And that's a pretty long walk on these cold mornings. You look at it like you got Claremore, then you got Justice out on Highway 20, and then you got Harmony Star. Each of these are 6 miles apart. And then Osage School and then Pryor. Every one of those are 6 miles apart. And you go the other direction on Highway 33 or 412 it is now. You go from Inola back to Catoosa, and there's 2 schools in between. A lot of those schools are still standing there, turned them into residence and so forth. I found that very interesting. See, if you go north of Claremore, you got Claremore, then Sequoia, then Foyle, then Bushy Head, then Chelsea, right on up to Bonita. They're all 6 miles apart. Somebody might find that interesting.
Yes, that's very interesting. How many grades did you remain in the one-room schoolhouse?
8th. Now, we were back and forth here and there. So 8th grade, I wasn't living at home anymore. I was working on the dairy. I graduated from Justice School, 8th grade. I still got my diploma. There's 8 of us in my class.
Where was high school?
Went to Claremore High School. And then one year I went to Collinsville. And then back to Claremore another year. And I left the educated part of my life in the 11th grade and joined the Air Force.
What year would that have been?
1955. August 3rd, 1955.
When you left school and joined the Air Force?
Yes. Ended up, there's 5 of us over here in Claremore all joined together. And it was a great experience. As soon as basic training was over, we were scattered all over. Eisenhower was the president at that time, and there was no war going on. They were overstocked with things, so they gave you an option for discharge. So I got discharged after 2 years instead of 4. I had a younger brother and sister that needed my help, so on my discharge paper, it said hardship.
So then you were helping your brothers and sisters living on a farm in Claremore?
Yeah, different farms. My dad, when my mom died, turned us over to the county, and they would find you a place to live. But drawback to it, you had to work.
He turned you over to the county.
Welfare department, I guess.
And then who did you live with?
They had an orphanage in Pryor. None of us chose to go there. We decided to do the other thing. But I guess they still do it. People take these young people in, and they get paid so much a month for taking care of them.
Is that what you did? You went to live with foster parents?
7 different ones. 6 of them had dairies, and I milked cows. Then I got tired of that.
What ages were you living in those 7 different foster homes?
Started at 9 years old.
As you look back on that, what did that experience do for you? Was it always good, or there was some ups and downs through all that?
I had one place that I felt they really wanted me there because they liked me. They were both school teachers, and they retired and moved out of state, and I was with them for a little over a year. It was the best time of my childhood. However, none of the rest of them had an interest in me as what I could do as far as milking, feeding the hogs, doing things. Probably the best thing for me, though, because I never have been scared of work. I've never been out of a job over half a day. Lose one, go find another one. So working like I did for those people and getting nothing in return except a cot to sleep on, it was not a good life. I'm not here to complain. I think it was good for me because it taught me how to work.
That's a good lesson there. A lot of people will blame their childhood, and you chose not to do that. But you had that innate quality that work was it. And so work got you out of it.
It worked for me.
It worked for you, right? Absolutely.
It worked for all of us. All my brothers and sisters did well.
Did your father stay in touch with you while you were living in all these homes?
Yeah, I'd take someplace where he was playing music, and I'd go to watch him. We'd visit a little bit, and then every once in a while, I'd go stay a day or two with him. But he never took the responsibility to take care of us in any way.
As you got older, did you resent that?
I don't think so. I kept hoping that, well, maybe on the phone he'd say, I'll come and see you this weekend. And I'd sit out on the porch where I was living at the time, waiting for him to come, and he wouldn't show up. Those things were not good. You know?
Yeah. That's sad. How old was he when he died?
53. He died of cirrhosis of the liver.
Was that alcohol that took him?
Yes. And I was 15 years old when he died.
He had some music ability. Did you have any music ability? Did you play guitar?
No, and I tried so hard. All my brothers and sisters sang or played something, and my cousins, it's a big thing in our life. I tried so hard, and still today, I couldn't tune a guitar or I couldn't sing a note, but I can sure tell good music from bad music is a blessing, I think, that I can't play because I did quite well as an agent.
Yep.
I had that desire to play, we're in Woodward, Oklahoma one night, and I had rented this building, and I'd hired Red Steagall and his band to play for it. We called it Annual Fish Fry. We did every year up there. So I'm standing there by the side of the stage watching. He's got 3 fiddle players up there playing, just going to town. He leans over and he said, "You really like that, don't you?" And I said, "I just love it." He looked around, the place was packed full. He said, "How much money are you making tonight?" And I said, "Well, I'm not sure, but it looks like it's going to be a pretty good night." And it was. And he said, "Well, if you could play the fiddle, you'd be making $250. That hit me right between the eyes. Why do I want to do that? Why do I want to work that key? I never had a desire again to play anything.
By the way, here it's 10:22 in the morning on this February 18th. Did Leroy Van Dyke call you this morning?
Leroy Van Dyke called me this morning at 8:30, which is what he's done for the last at least 10 years. And maybe in a year, he might miss 2 or 3 times. Otherwise, I can count on it. Like he had a hip replacement 2 weeks ago, so that morning he couldn't call me. It's something like that. Or if he's in Wyoming where he don't have any phone service. But as soon as he gets to the phone, he calls me. And I don't know why that started or how it started, but I love it. I've heard his same stories a dozen times, and I'll never get tired of hearing them.
How long do you guys talk every morning?
About 30 minutes, because Peggy Raines calls at 9 o'clock. So he'll look at the clock. He's about ready for Miss Peggy time. So
Who calls at 9?
Peggy Raines.
She calls every day, too?
Uh-huh.
Well, we know Leroy Van Dyke from The Auctioneer and Walk On By. Mm-hmm. I think he's 91 years old now.
92.
92. Okay.
Uh-huh.
Pretty amazing. That's a great story.
Yes, it is. He works about 30 dates a year with a full band. He works in California, Florida, wherever. And he's so young looking for his age.
Peggy Raines, tell us about her.
Well, Peggy, her husband's a dentist. They live in Pryor, Oklahoma. And several years ago, her husband called me and wanted me to take her to Nashville and record an album for their family of her singing and use the same type musician as Reba would use if she was going. And I said, "Well, we can do that. It's going to be pretty expensive." And he said, "Well, I want to do this for her for her 25th wedding anniversary." And I said, "Okay." So I set it up, and we went and recorded an album. It came out pretty good. We didn't expect it to do anything as far as commercial, but I started sending it around to different people that I knew. Of course, Billy Parker helped a lot. Send it overseas. The title song on it was "It's a Good Day," it's an old Peggy Lee song from the 40s. Right after Peggy did "Sleep at the Wheel," it's a good day. And that thing started playing over there and got popular, and they started ordering CDs from all over Europe. Just as quick as we could get them, we'd have them sold. And all at once, she's a household name in the country music world. She did some shows with George Jones, some with Charlie Pride. I was able to get her a deal where she did a duet album with David Frizzell. We ended up doing 4 albums altogether of hers, and then one with David. And then Billy Parker was on the one with her, and they did 2 songs that just unbelievably good. And so that's how that happened, is an accident. Nobody's smart or brilliant or anything, because she's a lady 50 years old at the time, and 50-year-old people don't become stars,
Yep.
So that's where our friendship started, and it has developed. So they came pick me up last night, and we went over to Tulsa and ate. That's the Peggy Raines story.
That's a great story.
Wonderful person.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, let's bring you back to how you became a agent or music promoter. How did that all begin?
When I was about 10 years old, there was a band in Claremore, Oklahoma Swing Billies. I have pictures of them. Tommy also was in that band. He went on and became a superstar in the music world. I would go there on Saturday nights They had benches around there. They didn't have tables and chairs like they do now. One of my brothers ran the gate for them, and then he sat in and played with them a lot. I'd roam around and I'd see when they finished the bottle of whiskey. They're dry states, so they have the whiskey in their boots. I knew enough about whiskey from my dad, what I could do. When they finished the bottle, I walk up and say, "You want me to go get you another bottle?" "Yeah, will you do that?" I said, "Yeah, I'll do it. But I want a quarter." And they all knew I'd get a quarter for it. I'd go down about 2 blocks down the street from that, Lamb Carroll's, the name of the place, and he'd let me take it back up there and collect for him. I'd make 4 or 5 runs a night up there, sometimes make $2.50, $3 every once in a while on a good night. So I was a bootlegger myself, I guess, at an early age.
And where was this now?
In Claremore, at the Legion Hut.
Okay.
Now it's a parking lot for the police cars. For the dance every Saturday night. They're over in Yates and the Oklahoma Swing Billies.
You were interested in music?
Oh, yeah, I loved it. Absolutely loved it. And so when I started actually booking, I just put together a few things. Channel 8 had some kind of a show up there, and I'd call and get somebody that I knew on it. And I enjoyed that, but I hung around at Leon McCullough so much at Cimarron Ballroom, and he was so nice to me. I might have been in his way, maybe, but he gave me something to do. And after the dance on Saturday night, sometime I'd stay and help clean up everything because there's always a pretty good mess. And then he had me start taking tickets at the door, and then rock and roll was taking over the Western swing thing. And so he was having to travel to Las Vegas and Jackson Hole, Wyoming, and South Louisiana and place with his bands in order to survive with the bands like he had. And so he got to trust me so much that he had me to book the Cimarron Ballroom while he would be out. Speedy West had just moved here from Fender place. Speedy is a famous steel guitar player. So I had Speedy put a band together, and they would be the house band, but I would bring in Jim Reeves, different ones, Ray Price, Conway Twitty, acts like that.
Patsy Cline, was she part of that?
Patsy Cline, yeah, brought her twice. One time we did an album. We didn't do it. 30 years later, her husband took it and did it. We taped the show that night. Of course, it was big news for her having this album go live at the Cimarron Ballroom. And very poor quality. I mean, we taped everything down there on a reel-to-reel. I did an interview with Patsy Cline, and it was on reel-to-reel. Billy Parker took it and made it into a cassette, but now you can't even play a cassette. Patsy Cline was really a sweet person, nice person to work with, and very, very nice. I got a letter from her mother hanging on my wall, wanting a copy of what we recorded of hers, and this letter tells her history so good. How she raised her 2 daughters and so forth. 2 weeks after she wrote that letter to me, she died. That letter, I don't know how I got it, is addressed Mr. Ray Bingham, booking agent, Tulsa, Oklahoma. I got that in my mailbox, and it don't say nothing about Claremore or nothing. Kind of interesting.
You were that famous. You didn't need it.
Right?
You were that famous.
Yeah.
You didn't.
I always hear them say, send your donation to Oral Roberts University, Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Exactly. Or Billy Graham. You said Billy Graham, Minneapolis, Minnesota.
Yeah.
You were just
so Ray Bingham booking agent.
There you go. You were just as famous as they were.
I'm sure that's going to impress a whole bunch of people.
Let me bring you back to the Cimarron Ballroom, because Cimarron Ballroom was in competition with Kane's Ballroom.
Right. Bob Wills only played at Kane's 2 or 3 years, unless he's just traveling through, would stop again. Yeah. He played there 2 or 3 years. Then he went on the road all the time, and Johnny Lee took over the deal at Kane's. And Johnny Lee never played Cimarron, not one single time. He played Thursday and Saturday nights at Kane's, and Leon played Wednesday and Saturday night at Cimarron.
Okay.
So the weeknight, they weren't head-to-head, but on weekends they were.
So did both places get packed out?
I remember them being so full. Sometimes you just decide, well, I'm not even going to try to go in there. But, boy, when the blue suede shoes came along, that changed everything.
That
600 people in there, there'd be maybe 200.
Yeah.
Know?
When Elvis Presley came along with blue suede shoes is what you were
That's
saying.
True.
But that was pretty exciting. It had to be really fun between those two places.
Oh, yeah. Billy and I, when I had, Billy says it was Buck Owens, but I know it wasn't. It was Conway Twitty at Cain's. Billy tells the story, and he says Buck Owens. So I had Billy opening for him, and somebody else famous was over at Cain's. And I had done some booking at Cain's also, but Alvin Perry around Cain's, he knew that I was working at Cimarron. So Billy and I said, we'll run over to Cain's and listen to this guy. I don't remember who it was, but some big star at the time. We go over there, and they just motion us to go on through, and we go right up by the bandstand. And about halfway through one song, these big, strong hands grab my shoulder and Billy's shoulder. He between us. He said, come on, boys, you got to go out. His ground over was security over there. And Billy said, what do you mean we got to go out? He said, Alvin don't want either of you in here. You're barred from here for life. He said he's trying to kill his crowd by booking over there and give us a lecture as he was walking us through the door. So we exited and didn't go back for a long time.
Wow. Well, the competition was so stiff.
Yeah.
You couldn't take it. And who was that again who took you out?
Gene Crownover was steel guitar player for John Lee Wills and Bob Wills. His brother was the head of security at Cain's Ballroom. I don't remember his first name, but his name was Crownover. And he was Gene's brother. A nice guy. I mean, he was just doing what his boss told him to do, you know. He's a nice guy. There was 3 dance halls going at that time. That one at 41st and Memorial, Caravan.
Oh.
It wasn't called a Caravan when it first opened, but sometimes like Hank Thompson would be there, Conway at one, and Ray Price at all 3 at the same time. But that's what people liked in those days.
That Caravan building is still there, isn't it, at 41st and
Yes,
Memorial?
it is. And he just closed it down about a year ago. He kept it going all these years. Jack, I can't remember his last name now.
You talk about Billy Parker. How did you meet and how did you get to be his agent?
Billy Parker is just one of the most wonderful people in the world. And if it wasn't for Billy Parker and Red Steagall, I would have never done this professionally. Billy was playing around these beer joints, I'll call them, basically for tips. I'd go watch him and talk to him. I said, Billy, we need to play somewhere better than this. My brother, Archie, had played music around, and Frances Self. She had a relative, of ours. She had a good band and played around. And so I said, I'm going to book you at some of the places where Frances plays. And so the first one I tried was the Elks Lodge south of Bartlesville. The rock building is still there. Somehow I got acquainted with them, talked to them, and I booked Billy Parker there. I got him $60. Now, I know he hadn't ever made anywhere near that before for playing, and he was very, very happy with that. I continued finding places like that, and we had that radio show out at KFMJ. He got me a job out there on weekends, that weekend DJ, and I've probably gone down in history as the worst disc jockey in the world. I heard some of those tapes later, and I said, I can't not believe it. I can't believe they let me stay on. But anyway, Billy got me hooked up out there for that. He told me, he said, I want you to be my manager. And I said, I want to be. And he said, all right, draw up a contract and we'll do it. I said, okay. And that scared me to death because I didn't have a clue what a contract would look like. So time goes by and he's playing here and there. He mentions it every once in a while. Go ahead and get that contract and we'll sign it. Well, as he says later, he didn't have a clue how to do a contract either because he didn't even get as far in school as I did. So here it is, 60 years later, and we still do not have a contract. It worries me. I'm afraid he'll leave me. I'm afraid he'll dump me for Jim Halsey or something.
That's great.
And my deal with Red Steagall is kind of the same. I hooked up with him in 78. Now, Billy was in the late 50s with Red in 78. We never even thought about a contract. What a wonderful, wonderful man he is.
By the way, I've interviewed Billy Parker for voicesofoklahoma.com, and so I would urge people to listen to his story, and which is a good one. And he, of course, talks about you, even says some nice things about you, Ray, and I don't know if I should edit that out or not, but I'll leave it, I think.
I'll have to listen to that.
Yeah, but about Red Steagall, interesting how he did that Western swing version of Somewhere My Love theme song from...
Oh, isn't that beautiful?
It is. I was listening to that, and then I realized Roy Clark did it too. To have country Western people take a song like that, which was not country, and record it. Uh-huh. How did that come about?
Well, Red, we did the whole album with songs like that on it. I Left My Heart in San Francisco.
Okay.
I can't even remember now all the songs we did on that album. And every one of them was just fabulous like that. Red's one of the most brilliant men I've ever known in my life. He got 2 or 3 degrees from one college. He's just a brilliant, brilliant man. He came up with that idea. Well, it worked good. I think that's just beautiful, that song.
Yes, it is. And I was listening yesterday to his song, Lone Star Beer and Bob Wills Music.
Yep. Yeah, that's one that changed him from hamburgers to steak. Oh, man.
And it's interesting about Red, and I want you to tell this story. He actually had polio when he was 15, and he taught himself the guitar and mandolin to strengthen his arms and hands.
Yes, he did. That's true. His mama, I think, taught him. She played piano and all like a lot of those school teachers do back then, and she got him the mandolin. You know, he goes on stage when he's on the guitar, he turns it with the back of the guitar up by his shoulder, and he can reach with his hand and take hold of the neck of it. Then he pushes it back up, and nobody in the audience ever even have any clue that he's doing that because he don't have anything in that arm. He move his fingers enough to play, but he can't do anything else with that arm.
Then he was in Hee Haw about 6 times, and he did a couple of movies, Benji the Hunted in 87. Yeah. What is he doing now?
He does a television show every Monday night called Somewhere West of Wall Street. It's on the RFD channel.
How old is he?
He's 6 months younger than me.
Okay.
80. Me and him and Billy are all within 6 months of each other. Would you like to know how I met Red?
Yes.
I was driving up Harvard Street, and I heard that song come on there, Somewhere My Love by Red Steagall. I pulled over and stopped to listen to it without any interruption. I just couldn't believe what you said, the Western swing. I drove on about 3 or 4 blocks further after it was over. Went in Bill's Tea record shop there. They had it, and I bought 2 copies of it. One I sent to my brother in Springdale, Arkansas, and the other one I kept for myself. The next week, I was listening to radio having breakfast, and Jack Fox said, this next guy's going to be in Stillwater this coming Wednesday night or something for the Block and Bridle Club thing at the university. I said, well, I've got to go see that. So I went. Didn't find anybody to go with me. Nobody was real sure who he was. But when I got there, they were sure who he was because they were totally sold out. I couldn't get a ticket to get in. So I walked around the building, and a guy was unloading his product, caps and T-shirts and records and stuff. I introduced myself to him. I said, I drove from Claremore, Oklahoma up here to see this guy, and now they're sold out, and I'm having trouble getting a ticket. He said, well, you won't have any trouble if you help me carry this stuff in there. He sat down at the table with me and stay as long as you like. His name was Wormy. He wrote 2 or 3 of Red songs. He drove bus for him and handled his product sales. I stayed till he was over, and he introduced me to Red. Fred said, well, if you like this, we're going to be in Oklahoma City Saturday night. I said, well, I sure did like it. So on Saturday night, I drove to Oklahoma City. Took a friend with me that trip. I booked him for the Johnny Lee Wills Rodeo at the fairgrounds there in Tulsa. He played that, and after that, we went out to eat that night someplace on 11th Street there that stayed open. And he said, you know, I'd like for you to do more booking for me. I'm very unhappy with who I've got right now. And I'd sure like for you to do some booking for me. Not necessarily exclusive until we see how it works out. So I hooked up with Red Steagall.
The relationship lasted all these years. Did you do any recent booking for him?
Oh, yeah, I still do all of that. Yeah. All he's doing right now, he had that virus real bad, but he's over it. He's doing this Monday night TV show, and he's doing a radio show for years. Every little radio station in America, I think, plays it, where he interviews cowboys and different famous people. Somewhere west of Wall Street, it's taken off pretty good for him because there's nobody having any music. Right now, you can't book anything, so Those are only two things he's got going now.
He has a great, great voice, and so much character to that voice.
He's just an absolutely wonderful man. I love him. His family has made me part of their family. He's got 4 brothers and 1 sister. He had a brother just die a while back, but they never have anything family that they don't include me on it. They have any kind of family gathering or something. He don't call me a sister, Will, or one of his other brothers.
You married, and when did you get married? And did you have a family?
Yeah. I started dating a girl when I was in the Air Force in Louisiana. When I got out, I went back and talked her into marriage. And she was absolutely wonderful, wonderful lady. Moved to Tulsa. She went to work at a public service company. We were both pretty young, of course. We decided we didn't want to have any children until we got older. So in 1963, we had my first son. And 65, we had a second son. She didn't work anymore after we had the 2 kids. But what we had done, we never cashed one of her paychecks. We just deposited them. We lived on what I was making. We was able to buy a house, 742 South Sandusky in Tulsa. That's where we started out to raise our kids. And we bought 12 acres out of 95th and Yale when the kids got 10 and 12 years old, something like that. Well, we built a house out there, and they went to Jinx and graduated from Jinx School. Both of them did good in college. They both got baseball scholarships. Certainly, baseball is my favorite thing in the whole world, besides a good move fiddle. My wife died when my boys were in junior high school. She had early onset Alzheimer's. I started Alzheimer's Association here in Tulsa and hooked up through the national one in Chicago. I ran that for a while. We were dying for money because I wanted to educate people about that disease. We did a little fundraiser and stuff. Now there's no problem because lots of money people in Tulsa have suffered with the Alzheimer's thing, so they know how to do it now. And I'm so happy that it's doing so good for them. It's just wonderful. And to bring you up to date right now, one of my boys died 11 years ago, and my other son died a year this last March. They inherited that early onset Alzheimer's. It's a terrible, terrible death. I married another lady, and we were very, very happily married, but she died also, but not from Alzheimer's. Yeah, Lou Gehrig, is that what they call it?
Yes.
So now I'm a single man. I've been single for a long time. I coached American Legion baseball for 17 years in Jinx. I love baseball.
That's a tragic story. And what was your first wife's name?
Rita.
And then let's give your son's name.
Tag and Todd Bingham. Tag was Raymond Bingham Jr., but we called him Tag. Bob Wills, guitar player named Tag. He was with me at the St. Francis Hospital when he was born, so his whole life he was called Tag.
I just can't imagine what you went through.
Have you ever witnessed any of these Alzheimer's at the time?
I have, but here, Rita dies from Alzheimer's, and then your second wife dies from ALS.
Yeah. Isn't that something?
That is something else.
Yeah.
And the grief.
Rita's dad died with Alzheimer's, and his mother died. But see, I didn't know what Alzheimer's was. I'd never heard the name. And her mother didn't tell me. I just said, "What happened to your dad?" She said, "He had a brain tumor." I had no idea what he had really died from. I certainly would not have had any kids.
Mm-hmm.
I have a granddaughter and a grandson from Tag, the one that just died. His son, he goes to Stanford University. He was the valedictorian at Cassia Hall the year before last.
So you worry about them as having that gene?
I certainly do. I don't worry about the girl she's adopted, but I worry about the boy. I certainly do.
Yeah.
It's always in their 30s when they get it.
Well, I admire you. You've been through a lot, and you've been very successful. Tell us a story about Reba McEntire and how that came about.
Yeah. I had so little to do with that. I did have her brother for years and still book him some, Fake McEntire, and I booked Susie, his sister, a little bit. I was only familiar with them from them singing McEntires at different rodeos. So when Red heard her first time, he really thought she was something special and decided to take her to Nashville. He said, "Here's what I need you to do, Raymond." That's what he called me. And he said, "I've got this girl. Nobody's going to know who she is. And you and I have seen thousands of these, but she's special, and I want you to book her. She don't have a band. You get Stone Horse or some band to back her on jobs, or you can use my band when I'm not using." So that's what I did. Most times we'd use Red's band. She knew their stuff to sing with them, and they knew her stuff. I had them at Apollo Delman Theater there at 15th and Lewis in Tulsa. Had her there with Red's band in different places, Tulsa State Fair, all around. And I got real acquainted with her and her husband, me and my wife. Couldn't stand her husband, but I had to put up with him well, nobody else could either, so that's not going to surprise anybody if they hear it.
Reba's husband you couldn't stand?
Charlie's Battle, yeah, Charlie's Battle. He's dead. I shouldn't say that about him, because I'm sure he had a lot of good points, and I just didn't run into any of them. But he was no help to her career, but she got a divorce from him. My wife and her got to be very close. She talks about my wife in her book, helping her dress, know what to wear at different venues and stuff like that. All I did was book a person that was unknown on a bunch of honky-tonks. I did get her opening for George Jones at the Mabee Center one time, KTFX radio show out there. I got her a pretty good job. I got her a thing in Denver, Colorado for the PRCA people, where all the rodeo buyers were there for the convention. So they booked her on their rodeos. I got a hold of an agent at William Moore's agency who I really had good luck with him. He'd been honest with everything. I had him come to Tulsa, the Mabee Center, and listen to her. She still didn't have a band at that time, so she used Red's band for that. She had a good performance, and he asked her to come to Nashville. He did, and they signed up. So that was my relationship with Reba, was just helping her get started. Anyone else could have done the same thing. There wasn't no spectacular move on my part or anything. I do know some other agency would have got her sooner or later. And at that time, I wanted William Morse to have her. And so it worked out.
But you knew there was something special about her.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I don't particularly care for the songs she sings now, but that's just what she got to do to make a living. When she's singing that go-ahead, straight Ray Price country stuff, it put chills down your back.
Yeah.
I got her hooked up with a deal to make everybody in the audience feel like she was singing to them. This guy coached her. They'd get in a telephone booth and sing, and she'd make eye to eye with him and sing. I went 30 days without watching her sing, and then he told me I was ready to watch her, so I sat out in the audience, and I felt that there was no one else in that building, just me, as a Kenland Sports Arena native. no one else in this building but me. She's singing just totally to me. And she has that skill to do it.
You talked about the phone booth. What did you mean?
Well, they'd get in a phone booth and she'd sing, and she had to face him. I thought the audience didn't feel like she was just there for them. And this guy was a coach. I didn't find him. Actually, the same guy got William Morris. Is the one that found him.
So the coach got in the phone booth with her, and she sang to him.
Staring eye to eye with him.
Yeah, and that made a major difference when she got on stage.
Yeah, she was looking at those people eye to eye. And if you happen to watch her on television or something, you'll see what I'm talking about. She don't look up at the ceiling or down at the floor. She stares right at those people out there, and she rotates from one to the other. She picks her out of one or two to look, but everybody in there feels that.
She's making major dollars now.
$400,000 a night plus a bunch of stuff, sound and lights and a bunch of stuff.
So she could probably get into the $800,000-900,000 for a night.
Yeah. Yeah.
When you booked her before she became famous, what kind of dollars were you making?
When she got her band, I continued to book her after that. I'd just buy her from William Morris and then sell her. I'd get $4,000 or $5,000. Got up to $10,000, about the most I ever got. And then I did her in Chicago a few years back. I got $250,000 on that one. But I've never booked her when she got into the big money.
If she was sitting here talking to us, what kind of a person is she?
Oh, yeah, I absolutely love her. She's two people. When the show's going on, she's on stage, she's one person. She's looking those people eye to eye, and she's telling them about live down the road with mamas and this and that, and making all the women out there just absolutely love her. And the curtains close, and the cat sharpens her claws. She's in charge of everything, and she's the best businesswoman I've ever seen in my life.
Interesting.
She's one smart businesswoman. And you'd love sitting down talking with her, investing with her.
And I'd like to do that for Voices of Oklahoma. I don't know if she would even do that now, but...
I don't know. Up until 6 months ago, I could get anything I wanted from Reba because I'd go through her mother. For some reason, her mother really liked me. And I think it's because I went ahead and stuck with Pake and Susie after Reba left them. They were the singing McEntires before Red took Reba away. But anyway, if I needed Reba to wish somebody happy birthday or anything at all like that, I just call her mom, Jackie, and tell her what I needed. Like Billy Parker's retirement thing, I called Jackie. Oh, Billy played Reba's first song on the air. Yeah, what does she need? And I'd have never got through Reba's people to get that, Within 24 hours, Reba sent this video.
Oh, I love Reba's accent when she's speaking.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Wouldn't know she's a speech major from that college at Durant, Oklahoma, would you?
I'm surprised some coach didn't say, you've got to change your accent. Maybe they did, but it's charming.
When they start telling Reba anything like that, she'd get rid of them so quick.
Oh.
She's in charge of everything herself.
Another personality that you, of course, had association with, and that is Garth Brooks.
Uh-huh.
Tell me how you met Garth Brooks and your first association with him.
His mother was on the Ozark Jubilee, and Billy Parker was on there. So I booked his mother at Jumps Roller Rink in Fairfax, Oklahoma, and 3 or 4 places like that. After she had her kids, I don't know how many she had, but after she had them, she quit. But she was on Capitol Records.
Colleen Carroll?
Yes.
His mother?
Yeah. I had a band called Stonehorse playing up at Stillwater a lot. Garth would come to me. He was a bouncer there, and they let him sit in with them. We're glad to do it because he was an asset, and they all liked him. They all went to school at OSU anyway. Also, my son and him were friends in college up there, Tag, the one that died recently. So I kind of got to know him there a little bit and knew his wife. She'd come out there. They weren't married at the time. She'd said that table with me while he'd get up there. But New Year's Eve, and I don't remember what year it is. My nephew has a tape of it, but he can't find it right now. There's another club out south of Stillwater. It was called a Cimarron Ballroom, too. No relation to the one in Tulsa. In fact, one in Tulsa had already turned into a parking lot. But I was doing a lot of booking out there. So New Year's Eve, I booked Billy Parker, Red Steagall, and some lady actor, I can't remember what it was, but she was a big name. They all worked with Red's band there at that Cimarron Ballroom. So Garth shows up and finds me. He wanted to sing with Red's band. He said, man, I never had an opportunity to sing with a band like that. Could I do that? I said, okay, after intermission, Garth, we'll do it. And I didn't have to ask Red. I mean, Red trusts whatever I say. Danny Steagall is Red's brother, and he's front man on his band. I take Garth over and introduce him to him. He wants to sing a couple of songs with the band. Danny said, okay, that's fine. I'm glad to meet you. What songs you want to sing and what key you want to do them in. Because they didn't have time to rehearse. Danny had his guitar there. He said, I'd like to do Lone Star Beer and Bob Wills music and Party Dolls and Wine. That's just something you don't do. You don't sing the Stars song at his show. Danny said, are you certain? He said, yeah. He said, make it easy on you guys because you know those already and I can do them in the same key he does. Danny, honor as he can be, thinking, boy, this is going to piss my brother off good. So the break's over and Red's sitting over at the table, his wife and me and my wife and all of us just having a great time over there. And they kick off Lone Star Beer and Red starts jumping. Damn, I got to get on stage. He started on stage and Garth already there with a mic in his hand singing Lone Star Beer to Bob Wills music. And Red just stopped and stared at it. And he came back. He said, what's going on, Raymond? I said, well, he's a good guy. He's a good friend of mine. But he said, he's singing my song. I say for my finale. Anyway, I got him sat down and settled down. He did Party Dolls and Wine, which is another Red song, and came down and introduced him. And Red, gentleman that he is, he said, you sound pretty good. I like your choice of music. After Garth became a big star, he was in Fort Worth at a radio show there. And Red was on the road somewhere, but he was listening and he called it and asked the disc jockey, I need to talk to that guy you got there, Garth Brooks. And he said, Garth, I want to ask you one thing. In Stillwater, Oklahoma, why did you sing my song when you got on stage? He said, Red, I just knew that your band would know them. He said, I sure didn't mean to offend you. But you know, Garth, now he's still loose as a goose with the stuff like that. And here he's in Tulsa, grab that boy and bring him up on stage with him, singing. He's just loose like that.
When Garth did that and he sang, he did a good job, so he didn't embarrass you at all, right?
Oh, no, didn't embarrass me at all. He did a good job. I've got a folder here of his contracts. I booked him a lot of times. I had him opening for Billy Parker when Billy played Stillwater. I also had him opening for the Stone Horse Band. I consider Garth and me pretty good friends. We went to some baseball games together 2 years ago. I always got this Claremore baseball program going up here. American Legion is no good in Oklahoma anymore. That's unfortunate because that's the best baseball there was, but they got deals where they put all the better players on one team. And Garth knew some of the boys that would be playing at Owassa. So he called me and we went to a couple of games here in Claremore and one in Owassa. But I haven't talked to him since. 2 years, I guess.
And then you did some other booking of him and caused him to send you a letter thanking you for what you've done.
Oh, I've got it on my wall right here. I forgot about that. At Marlboro Traveling Show, a contest, they had to get somebody that was kind of a medium star, just getting started, to MC the show and sing a couple of songs. So I got that for Garth. I got this hanging on my wall here. It says, Ray, thanks so much for what you are doing for me. Coming to Stillwater for my very first official gig is a neat feeling. Here are 4 songs that I have. If you'll have the band to learn any of them, which one do they like the best? I do appreciate them doing this. Please give me a call when you receive this. I would like to hear from you. God bless, Garth Brooks. Yeah, he did that. There's those Marlboro shows. That's what I did with Ronnie Dunn, too. Nobody else is going to have that letter because it says my first official gig.
It's nice that he stayed in touch with you. I mean, you went to baseball games.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I have nothing but good to say about him. I've heard some people in Nashville don't like him so much, but that's their problem. He's always been good to me.
But wasn't he a great promoter himself?
I don't understand it. I mean, he is not the most talented. I mean, he's very talented, but they say, well, he's got a good voice. Well, I can tell you a whole bunch of them's got a good voice.
Right.
The way he jumps around on stage. I don't understand how he can sell out in a BOK Center 5 nights in a row, stuff like that. I can't believe it, you know.
You're saying many of them are just as good as he is, but the way he's promoted himself. And then remember, he had a big concert in Central Park, New York City.
I know. Yeah, he's played some weird places.
I always thought that Garth could sing almost any kind of music, and it wasn't just country. He could sing rock and roll. He could sing other. Do you agree?
Oh, I agree 100%. Yeah, he can sing. But that's not what people buy the ticket. They go see him for what he does. I mean, his songs.
He did have quite a few hits, didn't he? Now he's got his own radio channel. And Friends in Low Places is the signature song for him. And here in Oklahoma, we love it. So, are you still amazed that he became the star that he did?
I'm amazed that he got that big, but there's been nobody else in the history of music ever got that big. I don't believe. I don't know anybody that sell out the BOK Center 5 nights in a row.
Well, Elvis Presley probably could have done that.
Well, let's go back to the last time he was here. I don't know. He's at Maybe Center, Elvis Presley. Did he sell it out?
I don't know. I have no idea. I don't know why that was funny, but that was funny.
Well, anything about the Maybe Center and you and me is funny.
Well, should we move into that story right now?
We surely can.
Let me set this up because it brings you and I together. In 1987, Ray Stevens produced an album called Crackin' Up. And a song from that album was Would Jesus Wear a Rolex? It was written by Margaret Archer and Chet Atkins, the country gentleman. I didn't realize that. I somehow thought Ray had written it, but you and I both know that Margaret Archer wrote the words, I guess, and Chet did the melody, correct?
I'm thinking you're correct.
So, Ray Stevens, you tell us now this part. You booked him at the ORU Maybe Center.
Correct.
To lay the background of this, I have the lyrics for the song here. Ray sings, woke up this morning, turned on the TV set. There in living color was something I can't forget. This man was preaching at me, yeah, laying on the charm, asking me for 20 with 10,000 on his arm. He wore designer clothes and a big smile on his face, telling me salvation while they sang Amazing Grace, asking me for money when he had all the signs of wealth. I almost wrote a check out, yeah. Then I asked myself, and the chorus is, would he wear a pinky ring? Would he drive a brand new car? Would his wife wear furs and diamonds? Would his dressing room have a star? If he came back tomorrow, well, there's something I'd like to know. Could you tell me, would Jesus wear a Rolex on his television show? Those are the words. I could say as a background here, I'd been using some satire and my humor while talking about Oral Roberts those days. He was going to build the City of Faith, so I was going to build the Kennel of Care for cats and dogs. He sent out vials of water taken from so-called River of Life in front of the City of Faith. We had the water tested, and it proved the water didn't come from Tulsa. It came from a packaging company in Dallas. And then he promoted a 900-foot Jesus, and I promoted a 900-foot Lassie. So we were doing all that. And then, of course, I played Ray Stevens, Would Jesus Wear a Rolex, on my show many, many times. So now you talk about how it is you booked Ray Stevens into the Mabee Center.
Well, it was a Southern Shriners Convention. I think 5 states of Shriners had their convention in Tulsa every year, and they have a big dinner and music show, and they asked me to help them with that. So I got Red Steagall, Stone Horse, and Ray Stevens for it. It was, of course, sold out only because the Shriners were, each of them bought a ticket. There's that many of them there. It was a great, great lineup, though, and a great show. We were all happy with everything, the way it was going.
I was there that night.
Yes, but what built up to that night, about a week prior to the event, I got a call from the manager of the Mabee Center, and he wanted me to meet with him and Richard Roberts, who's Oral Roberts' son. I met with them at a little restaurant over on Lewis there. They said, we can't have Ray Stevens in our theater. And I said, what do you mean? Well, this song he sings is an insult to my dad, and we don't want him in there. I said, well, we have no choice. The Shriners have paid you the rent, and they've paid me for the act, and they're going to be there. And I said, I'm assuming if you cancel it, that Ray, between the power that the Shriners have got and Ray Stevens, he was hot then, tomorrow morning on every network TV show, they're going to be talking about this, and y'all right now don't need that kind of publicity. They said, well, we would respect you and appreciate you if you'd, and they started a religious talking to me, and I said, I have no control over it. I'm going to be there, and the bands are going to be there, and I don't know how you're going to stop it. That's the last I heard from them on it. We went ahead and did the show. Stone Horse first and Red Steagall did his. They were both short sets. So everybody paid their money to see Ray Stevens.
Right. And
there's a lot of confusion going on there. And do I go on from here with what I did?
Right.
Well, a lot of confusion going on backstage when we're getting ready. And Billy has been my MC, I'm sure. I always had him. Anyway, I say, John Early, and I knew about their deal. You want to do me a favor and go up there and bring on Ray Stevens? And you, really? Yeah. And so you did.
I was near the front. You came to me and I said, sure. And I don't know what I said in my introductory remarks, but I'll never forget. I can still see Ray Stevens coming out on stage looking at me, and he had a big smile on his face because I must have alluded to everything maybe that I'd done. And then he was on. And then it goes back to you, because once Ray Stevens was on and I was back in my seat, didn't somebody come to you?
Yeah, he sure did. He come running to me. He said, how did he get in here? And I said, I don't know. Who is it? Is he with your staff? And that was it. Oh, boy. All my friends in Tulsa who was following all that at the time, they just thought that was wonderful. Did you know John Hurley was on that show at the Mabee Center? And I said, yeah, I know he was on there. That was a last-minute booking.
That was so clever on your part to think, I'm going to have him go up there. And it was so much fun. I enjoyed it. And, of course, something that you and I will remember forever and ever and have all these years.
Yeah, that was great.
I don't imagine Richard Roberts was in the audience. I don't suppose he would have shown up for that.
I don't know. I doubt it.
Yeah. Well, if I didn't thank you then, I'm thanking you now, Ray, for that.
Well, thank you. You made it happen. You made it happen.
And we've talked about it before, and we've laughed about it. That is so funny.
Right.
But, Ray, I have a follow-up story to tell you about Oral Roberts that you may not have known about, because as much fun as I had that I told you about, and we did the Ray Stevens thing, I was able to actually interview Oral Roberts. I had a friend who had a connection to him. So I went out to Newport Beach, California. It was August 11, 2009. He was 91 years old. I was very nervous about this, Ray, because of all the things that I'd been saying about him on the radio. And
Yeah.
you probably heard some of that yourself.
Oh, yes, I listened religiously to you.
And so I had fun at his expense, but I never made fun of his faith. It was his style of raising money, which was unusual in a way, but it was very rewarding for him. So my equipment is all set up. The condo was, not the best, but it was right there on a golf course, probably really nice in its heyday, some tattered furniture. He sat in a big easy chair, he had a big robe on, and he wasn't in good health. He was 91. I start interviewing him, and I'm thinking, do you really know who I am? Do you know the things that I did? He started talking about the media, and he said, the media would really get after me, but I didn't push back. Did I, John?
He knew all the time, didn't he?
He
Who
knew.
you was.
He knew. I remember sitting there and I thought, wow, my respect for him went right through the roof because I thought he knew. And, he probably also knew I was just having fun.
Well, sure, I bet he did.
Even though his son and many out there didn't understand that and they were upset about me. But he probably knew it. And then he knew that this was important for the website because it goes to students and everybody else to learn from him. And so he knew that.
Exactly.
And then I just needed to tell you that.
Thank you for sharing that with me, John. I like that. I'll never forget it.
And then I got to tell you, Ray, he died December 15th, 2009. That's 2 months later. So it was one of those interviews that were, meant to be. But
Yeah, probably the last interview he did.
yeah, I would agree with that. That very definitely.
Probably.
So anyway, Ray.
Thank you for sharing it, John.
Absolutely. Ronnie Dunn. There's some story about Ronnie Dunn.
Ronnie Dunn was the best at paying his commission of anybody I ever booked. Most of them are good at, but there are a few of them that'll skip around you after you book them. I have my office out at 95th and Yale back up in the trees. We book him on the weekend. I got a bunch of contracts here. Price you wouldn't believe how little they are. But on Monday before noon, we see a little red sports car and him driving, coming up that driveway. It might not be but $25 or $35. For $500, it'd be $50. And those was real good ones. In 3 or 4 years that we booked him, he never was a day late with paying his commission. And just wonderful. I like that man. He was in this contest out at Tulsa City Limits, Marlboro contest. Same thing as Garth Brooks did. I did a lot of those for them. It was a contest, and Ronnie put up his band on it, and they did good. They did real good. However, there was a little girl from out western Oklahoma that yodeled. Can't call her name right now, but she beat Ronnie Dunn by just a fraction. I mean, there's like 1 or 2 little numbers. But she got disqualified because they had a time limit that they could be on stage, and if they went over that time, they were disqualified no matter what their score was. She was getting such an applause as she did that yodel tune. She left stage, the band quit, she walks back out and takes a bow. That automatically discounted her. So it made Ronnie the winner. And then he goes to Nashville, and that was the prize to go to Nashville to the national championship. He goes down there and wins it. Now, let me tell you who the judges were in Tulsa. It was Bob Cooper, John Woolley, John Henry. You know all 3 of those, I'm sure.
I do, yeah.
And the 4th one was Ray Bingham. So that's 4 guys. Well, John Henry's not with us anymore, but I see John Woolley often. The contest was in '88. We all got these jackets, and I found mine that had never been worn. It says Judge Marlboro '88. I was so proud that I found that 3 or 4 days ago. To me, it's kind of precious.
Yep. The name of the woman who was yodeling, was that Ramona Reed?
No, I know Ramona Reed. She lives down in southeast Oklahoma.
I just recently interviewed her for Voices of Oklahoma, and we have her on our website. And now she's like 90 years old, and she just sounded so spry, like a spring chicken, as we've said. But
she still sings well.
Yeah,
Still sings well.
And she,
now this was a young girl. She came back the next year and won the contest, and then went to Nashville and got defeated down there. But she was very, very talented. I can't remember her name right now. I was booking her a little bit, and then she fell in love. You don't want to book a group because somebody in that group thinks they're all coming to see him, and just when you get it going good, they'll bail on you. You don't want to sign up long-term with a group because very few of them stick together very long. I love to book ladies. I love to hear ladies sing better than men. I like ladies better than I do men. But doggone, there's a lot of effort into it, and then they become mamas. And there's one thing good about the Peggy Raines deal, because she was past that stage. Her kids were already grown.
Yeah. We referred to dance halls earlier. The death of dance halls in the South and in Oklahoma was really bad, and maybe you can talk about where they were. And I remember I worked in Omaha, Nebraska, and there was a big dance hall up there even in the 70s.
Well, they stayed here until the bingo halls. Then that turned into casinos. Every town in Oklahoma seemed like had a dance hall, starting with Sapulpa and right on. Every town had one. On Saturday night, we would have 7 or 8 bands playing in dance halls. And on Monday, they'd all be coming to bring us to. I don't guess there's a dance hall left in Oklahoma now, and the reason being they go to the casinos instead. And I don't blame them. It's free to get in, they hear music, they shoot pool, they drink beer, and they have fun. Whereas a dance hall is not going to be a fancy room. It's not going to be first class. But I think of all of those dance halls that we booked for years, No Water, VFW. I had Garth Brooks there. I had George Strait there. Had Reba, all of them as they were coming up, Johnny Lee Leon there. Rodney Lay there. Just a bunch of them. But they're not there anymore.
No, they sure aren't.
And that's a shame because I like that kind of music, that Western swing.
Yep. Loretta Lynn, her husband died in 1996, and she found comfort by listening to a Patsy Cline concert that had been recorded here in Tulsa.
Well, I'm not really acquainted with Loretta. I booked her a few times. Are you familiar with how they met?
No.
I understand that when Patsy Cline had the automobile accident, she was in the hospital, and she was listening to Ernest Tubb Record Shop. Every Saturday night, as soon as the opera is over, they had a live broadcast from Ernest Tubb Record Shop. She heard Loretta Lynn singing on there, and she asked her husband, Charlie Dick, if he would try to make arrangements to bring her to the hospital to see her. He did. I don't know what he promised her or what, but he did. But she was the kind of person that go visit a stranger. That started their friendship in the Loretta Lynn movie. It shows their love that they had for each other. Really deep friendship that they had. And I was only associated with Patsy a little bit. I booked Loretta. She was always really, really nice to me and all my friends. Sometimes when she didn't want to go out to tables and sit and sign autographs, her daughters would sit out there and sell their product, and you want us to sign Mama's name for you? Yeah, so they signed. I always thought that was really, they did it at Muskogee when I had them down there. Did it at Grove, Oklahoma when I had her up there.
And everybody said yes, they wanted to.
Yes, right.
But about Patsy Cline is interesting. I think her first singing performance after that car wreck was actually here in Tulsa at the Cimarron Ballroom.
Yeah, she had her crutch on that time. She was here twice. She was on the crutch at one time. She got up there and then laid the crutch down and did her singing. I'll tell you a good autograph story. George Strait does not sign autographs. He just never has. I mean, when he was first starting out, Woodward, Oklahoma. They had the rodeo there, and he played the arena, and then came in and did his show in the dance hall after. He was just becoming very popular because these people just going nuts trying to figure a way to get him to come out there and sign autographs. And he got on the bus, and he's through for the night. They're loading the bus up, and this one woman just driving me crazy to get him to sign his album. I said, okay, let me see what I can do. So I took her album, and I went around behind the bus, and I wrote George Strait on it. I come back and handed it to her, and she walked off. Well, bus was loaded, they were leaving, and I was getting ready to leave. Here come that lady. She said, can you stop that bus? I said, why? She said, he misspelled his name. I thought it S-C-R-A-I-G-H-T. I said, oh, well, I said, you know, when a guy's drinking, sometimes I get confused. I never did that again. I had never did it before and never did it again. Find somebody else's album.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up. That is a great story. To go back to Patsy Cline, interesting, when that plane crashed that took her life, Randy Hughes was the pilot, and Cowboy Copus died, and Hawkshaw Hawkins, who was the husband of Gene Shepard, died in that.
Right. Yeah. Then the next week, the team, Johnny and Jack, Kitty Wells' husband, Johnny and Jack Anglin, they were on their way to Patsy's funeral, and they had a wreck, and he got killed. Jack of the team, Johnny and Jack Anglin got killed in a car wreck going to Patsy's funeral.
Oh. Have you ever had somebody that you booked, thought it was going to be good, and then the show just flopped completely?
You mean the show flopped or his career flopped?
No, the show just flopped.
Well, I had the worst band in the history of bands this last summer. I had a 4-night deal over in Clinton, Arkansas, the world champion chuck wagon races. I had Chris LeDoux's son booked there on Friday night. And on Thursday morning, I get a call that he's gotten the virus and can't come to live in Montana. So I had to get somebody from Thursday morning until Friday night. I had that much time to put together a show. And a lot of bands disbanded this past summer. But I had this agent in Austin that was pretty good. I had just wore myself out trying to find somebody. I called him. He said, yeah, I got a group for you. And he told me their name. I can't even remember now. And he said, boy, they're really, really good. I told him what I had to spend. Oh, they'll be thrilled to get that. Okay, send them up here. So I had to have a show, a real show. I'm telling you, they were absolutely horrible. Just horrible. They didn't know the song. They start one, then stop. Say, whoops, that's the wrong one. That was the worst I've ever run into. I've had some I just didn't enjoy, but I wish I could think of their name.
No, that's probably good that you didn't.
Yeah, yeah, probably so.
Since you gained so much notoriety in the business, would have a lot of people come, oh, you got to hear my son, or my cousin's great, or you got to hear this guy. Did you get a lot of that?
Because everybody knows I was a little bit hooked up with Reba. Every grandmother that's got a granddaughter that sings, especially if they sing the national anthem, I want you to listen to them. Not so much anymore. You know, I'm old and times have passed. Reba's not popular with the young kids now. I'm sure some of these other acts are. But my goodness, I had so many of those, so many. And I always like to listen and be polite to them.
Sure.
Because they may be something, you know.
Right.
But whether they are or not, you don't want to be rude to them.
Did you ever listen to somebody and think, no, I don't think they have it, and it turned out they did?
Yeah. Yeah. I sure did. But I thought more they really do have it, and turned out they didn't. You're going to laugh at it. I suggested to Garth that he finish college because at the top, you're going to be a weekend wonder. And that just shows how besides not being able to sing or play the guitar, I'm not able to pick a star either.
I bet he's forgotten that now.
I bet he has too. I hope he has.
Tell me about Jim Halsey and you. Would you end up competing for same acts? Did you have any back and forth with each other at all?
We didn't have any back and forth. We always had a great working relationship. All he's got now is the Oak Ridge Boys, and I use them a couple of times every year. I get along great with Jim. What he did in the music business is unbelievable. He's Major League World Series, and I was a D-League out there.
No,
Oklahoma. I respect him, and he did a good job, and I think he respects me. I don't know, but I think he does.
Oh, I'm sure.
He's awful nice to me.
Yeah. Tell us how that works. He owns, shall we say, the Oak Ridge Boys, and he's their agent. But you can come to him and say, I'd like to book them. So then he takes a percentage of that. Tell us how that financial arrangement works.
Yeah, if you're a manager, you get a percentage of everything your act does, whether it's go on a talk show and get paid union scale for it, or if they get $100,000 a night, you get your commission from it if you're their manager. I've robbed old Billy Parker for 60 years now.
If you booked the Oak Ridge Boys, say at the Maybe Center, then you'd obviously make money there.
Right.
And you'd end up maybe making more than Jim did on that because it was your deal.
Well, yeah, it depends on what I charge the place to put it on. We did them in December in Wellington, Texas. We had to split it up and do 2 shows. We sold it out, but they couldn't sit close, so we did half of the people would show at 2 in the afternoon, the other half at 7:30 that night. It's either that or canceled. I had 16 big cancellations this last summer. And I didn't need another one, so we did it. And the agency that books the Oak Ridge Boys, it's William Morris Agency. They get a commission, and Jim gets commission. And then they've got their bus driver to pay, and their souvenir salesman, and their crew, and their band. And they've got to get a pretty big price in order to come out, to make sense for them to come. The reason we can get them, and we pay them a decent price. We have to in order to make any money on it. But the reason we get them, they'll have 3 or 4 days in Branson, and then you can start that off for a day to end it. They do 4 days there. You get the first night or the last night. If you're within driving distance of Branson, that's 500 miles for them. It's a good deal for them, even though they don't go home because they pay for their fuel and their bus drivers and their stuff that they're going to have to pay anyway. So it's a good deal we've got going with them.
The music promotion business today, is it a whole lot different than when you started? And would it be difficult for anybody to get into the business today?
Well, it would be, and the reason being, when I started or years later, if you had a company and you wanted to have a Christmas party or a special retirement party for someone, the big boss man would tell the secretary, get us a band for that, or get Stonehorse for that, or get Leroy Van Dyke for that, or whatever. So she gets on the phone and starts trying to find out, and she finds an agency that booked him. But it's easier for her at that period of time just to call Jim Halsey or Ray Bingham and let them do the worrying about how they're going to find that person, what they're going to price be, and so forth. Now, the day of the computer world, we're just like a travel agency. You don't have to go to a travel agency now to get you an airline ticket. You just go to your computer on your desk. And if a boss tells a woman now, get John Erling, we need him to speak for us if he's not too high. And all she's got to do is turn on that computer, there's John Erling there, and talk to him personally or his agent if his number's on there. If that makes sense, that's what's happened to my business. If it wasn't for my old standby customers, I'd starve to death. But I've got people I've been booking stuff for 30, 35 years, and they still use me. The chuck wagon races in Arkansas, the bullfights in Ardmore, Oklahoma, and quite a few performing arts centers. But they just call me because they know I'm going to buy it for them at the best price I can get it and still be fair to the act.
Right. So you don't rely on the computer, you rely on your connections and your relationships down through the years to make it happen for you.
Yes, And my nephew works with me, and he's a computer genius. He finds a lot of things that we can call and talk to him about. Like last year, you had Loretta Lynn there. We'd like to talk to you about who you're going to have this year. I'm past the stage of liking to do that anymore. But it's what I did to get where I am, where that is.
And I got to compliment you. You have your own charm and looks and so forth that got you into a lot of places. And you have to have that charm. Halsey has that too, to talk your way in or talk somebody into doing something. So there's a natural ability here. Yes, you couldn't play a single tune, but it was your charm and personality that really clicked for you. And you would have to agree with me, even though you probably don't want to compliment yourself.
I truthfully really like people. If I have a party here at my house, I may have a banker, I may have a doctor, and I may have someone who was homeless last night. I've got the widest array of friends that you ever see. I've got some people that have been challenged, and they all blend together real well. I don't like to dislike someone because they are a banker or because they are this or that.
Right.
But you polish them all up together. It's kind of fun.
Well, and then you have that ability. Not everybody can talk to all levels in society, and you've been able to do that. I always ask at the end of these interviews how people would like to be remembered. How would you like to be remembered?
He made sure the opening act didn't stay on stage too long because people came to see the star. And he got the opening act off in time.
That's the
hardest thing to do because they want to stay and stay.
And then you have to stand in the wings and say, get off, get off.
I got a quick story on that. He's the guy that sang Bony Fingers, and his cousin was the president at OU. Was the president until a couple of years ago. What's his name?
Boren.
Yeah, Boren.
David Boren.
Yeah, well, he had a cousin, Hoyt Axton. His mama was a Boren, and she wrote Heartbreak Hotel for Elvis Presley.
Yes.
May Boren. I booked the Apollo Delman Theater there in Tulsa. He was a great entertainer and a lot of good songs, but that Bony Fingers was his biggest hit, I believe. I had Don White, who was a wonderful, wonderful entertainer and performed with lots of big bands. He was opening for him. I told him, I said, all right, do 20 minutes and come on. So when he goes on stage, I see he takes a six-pack with him. And I said, no, you don't need that out there. He sang and tell about he wrote this song and that song. The headliner and these girl singers and all waiting off stage to come on. And old Don just kept on singing 40 minutes and now it's getting desperate. The people out there is wanting him to quit because they're wanting to see Hoyt Axton. Anyway, I turned the lights off on the stage.
Oh.
The handle turned the lights off on the stage, and we got him off there like that.
Oh, how funny.
Hoyt Axton. Boy, what a nice guy he was. I kept saying, I'm sorry, I can't get this guy to quit. He said, no, he said he's had his hour in their life. Well, Don had been with all the big stars, playing with them, wrote songs for Oak Ridge Boys and everything. And that night he was wanting to sing. I probably exaggerated a little bit, but the whole crew standing there waiting to go on, and him sitting out there drinking his beer and telling his little stories.
Yeah, that's funny. This was certainly a lot of fun, Ray. I just thoroughly enjoyed it. I knew it would be good, and you got so many great stories to tell, and we could go on for several more hours, and you'd have stories to tell. So
I got names wrote down here, things that happened to different ones. John Anderson, different ones, things that happened that to me are really funny, you know.
Have you thought about doing a book?
John Willie talked to me about it. He and my nephew just did the history of Kane's Ballroom.
Yes.
They got Billy Parker. They got it finished, but they don't want to put it out until this virus is over because they want to have a lot of people show up at their book signing.
Yeah.
They've talked to me about it, and I just can't imagine anybody being interested in my book.
You mean after these 2 hours, if nobody's interested, why did I talk to you?
I don't know why you called me to start with, but I sure do appreciate it.
Of course you would have an interesting book.
I asked John and Brett, my nephew, I said, if you guys played a joke on me, is there going to be some lady come interview me or something wearing a policeman's uniform?
You are ripe for a book, that's for sure. Well, Ray, thank you so much for this, and it'll be added to now 250 Oklahomans that I've recorded on voicesofoklahoma.com, and I'm proud to have you on there.
Thank you so very much. I really, really, really admire you, what you've done, your household name, without a doubt, and I respect you.
Thank you. So let's answer the question, would Jesus wear a Rolex?
I haven't got an answer on that yet.
I don't think he would.
I don't think so either.
All right. Thank you, Ray, for doing this. I appreciate it very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you, John. I appreciate you.
You have been listening to the Voices of Oklahoma podcast, stories taken from the oral history website, voicesofoklahoma.com. At the website, you will discover an array of storytellers. Many you will know. Some will be new to you, but all will be worth your time. This work depends on listeners like you, who are interested in learning about the great people of Oklahoma. Our website provides an opportunity to donate to this 501c3 project, which preserves Oklahoma history, one voice at a time. voicesofoklahoma.com